Hey, it's DJ. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to let you know about something I just launched. If your caseload isn't full and you're not sure why, I think my new full practice review can help. I personally audit your Psychology Today profile, your website, your Google business listing, your social media, everything you have out there. And I tell you exactly what's working, what's broken, and what to fix first. You get a scored report, a custom niche statement written for you, and a strategy call where we walk through everything together. No guessing, no templates, just me looking at your stuff and giving it to you straight. 2 options starting at $4.97. Check it out at privatepaypractitioners.com/services. All right, let's get into it. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. It is DJ Burr, and I am back with the Private Pay Practitioners Premium podcast. Tonight, I have another fantastic guest. I have Shimon Cohen with me, who is a licensed clinical social worker, trauma therapist. And, from everything I've been reading, you've been doing justice-centered work forever and a day. So I'm really glad to have you here so we can talk all things about the insurance industry and all the BS that they do that cause harm to our communities, right? But
Seriously.
Shimon is a telehealth therapist, right? Still telehealth therapist in Florida and Maine, and specializes in men in recovery and working with trauma. So we have some overlap, which I'm excited about as well, too. So Shimon, welcome to the show. Tell us a bit about you and about your practice and anything that you think would be helpful for us to get to know you.
Yeah, DJ, thanks for having me on here.
Yeah.
It's always cool to engage with podcasters, and really respect your work, and the community you've
Oh,
built is super impressive. And it's helped a lot of people out. So
thank
really cool
you.
to be on here. Yeah, a little bit about me. I'm based out of Portland, Maine. Like you said, telehealth in Maine. I originally was licensed in Florida. After living in Miami, Florida for a number of years. So when we were moving up to Maine, got licensed up here, which was pretty smooth process, which was great.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, so I see clients in both states, telehealth. Started the private practice about 2 years ago, and before that, all my therapy experience had really been like community mental health.
Hmm.
I also was clinical faculty at a university for a number of years. I still do some teaching, and I also have a continuing education and like justice-based practitioner platform called Doing the Work that started as a podcast, Doing the Work Frontline Stories of Social Change, and has
I love
evolved
it.
over the years. But yeah,
Yeah.
like even before I ever became a social worker, I was, involved with like activist type efforts, and then like community based work. My first job in like social services or human services was actually as a street outreach worker with youth living on the
Okay.
street. So it's been quite the journey over the years. Now this is talking 20 plus years ago.
Well, listen, I get that part. I mean, I worked at community mental health and they had me on the street working too. Uh, I was out there. They were like, go get the people and bring them back. And I was like, you got to be kidding. I thought I was going to do therapy, but it felt like more like social work, which is so interesting because when I started school, I started in a social work program and they were not talking about anything about counseling. And I was like, I want to do therapy. So I actually quit
Wow.
and switched programs like after the first session. And then, I graduate and then I'm doing social work.
That is wild. Yeah, I think one of the challenges with social work programs is right, like at the most they're going to be 2 years if you're not coming in already having a bachelor's in social work, and because it's such a versatile degree and covers so much, right? There's got to be like the macro aspect with advocacy, policy change, the generalist, then the clinical, and then even within clinical, there's like so many ways to specialize.
Yeah.
It's just very hard to cover all of that, and
Right.
so like, I actually saw a post on LinkedIn yesterday where someone was saying, like, "What did you wish you knew?" Like, "What advice do you have for, like, current students or soon to be graduates in, like, the business side of not just private practice, but even, like, all the stuff around continuing education has been, like, a huge learning curve for
Oh,
me."
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Why are they making it so complicated? I just don't understand. It's so complicated, especially if you're licensed in multiple states. Everybody has different rules and expectations and requirements and all the things. It's like, I just want to do the work. I want to see the clients. And y'all got me out here spending all this money on continuing education, but then nobody was trying to pay me more.
Right. Yeah, like in Maine, you can only have 10 hours of asynchronous, like distance recorded continuing ed.
Mm,
So like you can have distance, but it has to be live once you've hit the
yeah,
10 hours. So like right there, that's an issue. And it's a judgment that, recorded content, isn't as what educational as
right.
live content. And I could argue that, especially as someone who creates recorded distant,
Content.
self-paced content. Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
we've gotten really good feedback on. So
Yeah. I mostly do well with live because the recorded, like, then while I'm sitting here trying to do recorded, everything else is popping up. I got to do laundry. The cat's meowing and the kids bouncing off the wall. And it's just like, what? So live, I'm like, no, I'm locked in here. I can't even go pee.
I know if you go out too long, you might not get that certificate.
I know. So I totally get it. And I want to know all about that. But at first, I want to know a little bit more about like you. Like, where are you from? How did you decide that this was the line of work that you wanted to get into?
Man, that is a whole can of worms. But I
Uh
am
oh.
originally no, no. I'll try to make it brief. But I'm originally from Maine, Portland area of Maine, and I had my own so it's like kind of interesting because like in high school, I was actually voted by classmates at a school, like, my family well, my mom had gotten a divorce and remarried, and we moved, like, my soph going into my sophomore year of high school, and I got somehow voted at this new school to be, like, a peer counselor, which is kinda funny because like, I was
Yes.
a mess, like, I was involved in a lotta stuff, like, I work with people in recovery and, like, I'm in recovery myself, and
Yeah.
so and I started around that, right, 13, 14 years old, so it was weird because like, I went to some trainings around, like, how to help someone who is like what to do if someone like, a friend talks to you about, like, being suicidal, right? Like,
Yeah.
I went to, like, some of this stuff as a teenager, and people would always be like, "You're so easy to talk to," and stuff, but, like, I was also, like, high all the time. So it was like it's just strange, right? Like, it's a strange, it was like
Yeah.
a strange thing, but I did care about people,
Um,
and then I had obviously my own issues, and then basically that was going on, but I also had become little by little more, like, socially conscious and, like, politically conscious and got into, like,
oh,
activism. Some as a combination probably of my own experiences growing up Jewish in a as a, like, very like, where I grew up, there was, like, not many Jewish people, like, there were some, and there's definitely, like, a small Jewish community in Portland, Maine, but
yeah.
it was very clear, like, we were a minority, and it wasn't and then Maine is, like, a super white state, like, even to this day, and,
Is it? Okay.
yeah, Portland's, like, way more diverse now, um, there's been a number of, like, immigrants from different countries in Africa, especially over the years that have really, like, changed
Wow.
the population here in Portland, and other parts of Maine, like Lewiston, Auburn. Maine was actually one of the states that ICE has been, like, targeting, over the
Oof.
past number of months. Yeah, but, like, growing up here, it was very clear that, like, I was different, you know? And so that I grew up, like, around people who like, my mom did Meals on Wheels, and a lot of, like, the people we would take meals to were, like, elderly Jewish folks who were Holocaust survivors, and I grew up with, like, a lot of those stories.
My
So that had, like, a
goodness.
big impact on me, yeah, and then, I guess as I got out more and started interacting with other folks, like, interacting more with, like, Black folks, people of color, that was when I was, like, I actually, learned I was, like, a white person because like, honestly.
We will let you know.
Yeah. And I'm like, "But I'm Jewish," you know? And then, like, I went through this whole, like, experience of what that all meant, and,
Yeah.
as I was, like, learning, I also started being exposed to, like, feminist ideas, and that
Mm,
was, like, very different from, like, how I grew up, and just changing, and then, there was, like, some peace activists who did some stuff here, and, like, that started educating me, and then I just got more involved with, like, anti-war stuff, environmental stuff, and, like, social and racial
man.
economic justice, and was, like, pretty into that, like, organizing activism for a number of years,
Mhm.
and then, like I was saying, then that kind of ironically led me, not ironically, but that led me to, getting this job doing street outreach. That's, like, it all led to that, and then when I had the street outreach job, I was like, I actually loved doing street outreach. Like, I probably would have done street outreach for a long time other than the fact that eventually, like, when you have a family, there's no way you can, like, survive on that amount of
Right.
money, you
Yeah.
know? But I, like, loved doing that, and that actually is what motivated me to go back to school. It also coincided with when I got sober, so
Mhm.
that's when I was like, "Oh, like, this is what I actually wanna do for work," you know? But before that, I had no idea. I would just work, like, different random jobs and stuff.
Yeah. What a journey. When's the book coming out? Like, 'cause this is a book, movie, maybe podcast series. Like, you have a story.
That's funny. I've heard that before, but I'm always just like, "Yeah, like, who wants to hear about that?" I like to elevate. It's funny because, like, even my podcast is, like, interviewing other people and elevating and amplifying, like, their stories because I 'cause
Yeah.
I'm always interested in other people's stories, and so I guess that's something for me to work on, I know, to be able to, like, step into that, you know? Um,
I think it makes it easier for me to get on here and other platforms and, help other people tell their stories because I am always open to telling mine.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how I got that's how I'm sitting here. If I hadn't told my story, I wouldn't have got out of the system. I grew up in the hood, you
Mm,
know? You talk about, like, meeting Black folks and stuff. I wouldn't have known who a Jewish person was growing up in the projects. I would have had no idea. I didn't know if I even had that language, right? Because it was the Black folks and the white folks,
mhm, mhm.
right? And so, like, our lived experiences are so important. And I tell you right now, the clients are looking for therapists with lived experience. They really are, you know. And so I just lean into it. It was one of the hardest things and the easiest thing to do at the same time.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
that's some of
freeing.
what I've read in, like, your stuff, right, about, I mean, I don't know a lot about it, like, what because saw something about being in recovery, and I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, like, the specifics of all that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, codependency, sex addiction, money, alcohol. Like, I have over 13 years of sobriety from alcohol and
Congrats.
compulsive sex. Thank you. And I've been doing this money work. The money work is what got me to the private pay practitioners. That's what led me to start it because I was like, okay, so I'm in a huge amount of debt because I've been working with these insurance companies and my life is not sustainable. What do I do? So a friend of mine was like, well, I go to, the money program. I was there the next day. I had already been in, other programs, so it was easy for me. Like, you highlight something that's going on for me that I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm going. So I went, and then I worked with a group of people, and they were like, being on insurance is not sustainable for you. I was like, that's what I've been saying, but I don't know what to do. They was like, you got to drop them panels. I freaked out
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
did exactly what they said.
And just like, that's the, not to jump to something that if you're not ready to go there, but like, that's where I'm at with, I started this private practice and I'm on, I'm on Headway and Alma, you know,
Hmm.
and in some ways it's, you know, well, first of all, Headway, you almost get no referrals, right? I've had
Mm,
maybe like one or two in like 2 years of being on it.
really?
Yeah. Alma, I have gotten a number of referrals, and also like Psychology Today, when I had on there that I was taking insurance,
Hmm.
I did get a lot more referrals than now that I'm, I took it off and I say I'm private pay,
Hmm.
I've noticed a big shift. So like I was actually looking at the numbers just, today because I knew we were going to be meeting tonight. And it's like, I'm trying to add more. Like I just got my whole website redone. I invested in that.
Yep.
I'm like starting to do blogging. Like I've got one. I mean, I'm balancing growing the therapy practice and growing doing the work as continuing education, like at the
Sure.
same time.
Absolutely.
So it's a little tricky with just the amount of work involved with both.
Yeah.
Um, and like being in like taking insurance does, especially through these platforms where like they do make it easy, most pretty easy. It But it's like some of the payouts are so bad. And I started working with teens and adults, right?
Hmm.
And I have a lot of experience, like I was telling you, working with young people. I mean,
Yeah.
I created a teen center years ago. I ran that teen center. I
Wow.
have a lot of experience working with young people, and I like working with young people, especially as someone who was a very confused, like messed up young person myself, Um, and have like worked through a lot of stuff. And also like, I have probably similar to you in different ways. Like I've lost a lot of friends like along the way, like to substances, to, death because of
Yeah.
substances or mental health issues and suicide.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like these are like really I I I enjoy working with young people in the, but insurance makes it such a problem because like one example, well, a few examples. Like one, I got a PHQ-9, an intake through Alma submitted,
Yeah.
and on like a Friday, so the client, it's not even a client of mine yet, right? Like they're just completing the paperwork. This was a teenager. This was like when I first started the private practice. I'm not meeting with them until Tuesday, but it comes through
Mm-hmm.
that they've got suicidality.
On the
So
paperwork.
on the
Oh.
paperwork, and like now it's a Friday, and I cannot, for me, in good conscience, not do anything about that over a weekend and wait till I see them on Tuesday. I just can't. That's just not, even though ethically or legally probably because they weren't technically a client, I
Yeah.
wasn't like legally bound to anything, but like that's just, I'm going to do what I believe is the right thing to do, obviously in a way to
Yeah.
protect myself. So now I'm on the phone with their guardian, now I'm like making sure this person is going to be okay at least through the weekend till I can like get in front of them and do an assessment. And of course, none of that's compensated, right? None of that's compensated.
None of it.
Not with insurance.
What? You were doing crisis work.
Yep, but
They
not
didn't, no
through the
payment.
plat. Nope. And then I also just recently, so I've really cut back on my teen clients because of
Mhm.
all the extra stuff that is involved, and that
Ugh.
it just is not feasible.
Yeah.
And another example is the code for a session, like, with family without the client present or even with the client present. Like, I needed to meet with some parents about an issue that a teen client is dealing with, and it's like a family issue, right? Like, we know this
Yeah, yeah.
stuff isn't just the individual person, it's the whole family.
Right.
Um, so the same insurance, the payout for that family session
With
is,
less.
like, almost half.
Yeah.
So, what's the incentive to do that
None.
work, you know?
None. And then the clients are impacted, right? Because then they're having difficulty finding a well qualified therapist to help their kid, right?
Exactly. Like, I had one person, I was saying my age range at that time, I think, was, like, 12 and up, right? And
Okay.
someone reached out to me and was like, "I have a child that was" I think they were 9 at the time. And I was like, "You know what? Like, let's talk. Like, we'll see," you know? And I ended up working with this client, and the parent later told me after, like, things had been going well and everything, they were like, "We you were, like, the 20th therapist we, like, wrote to,
Mm,
and you were the only one that would take our kid."
I believe it.
Yeah.
I
But
believe
then
it.
I'm not but, like, now I'm not like, then that like, now I'm not gonna I wouldn't take on probably that client right now because it's just there is a reality of, like, the feasibility. Maybe some slots, right, of, like,
Yeah.
reduced rate or whatever could work, but I'm not at a point yet, and this is the part I was saying looking at the numbers today, I don't have enough private pay clients to get to at least this is the part that scares me, to just like, my goal is to be private pay by 2027 and not renew my Alma membership. Like, that is my goal
Okay.
to
Let's
work
do it.
towards. Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, I think it's feasible. But this is the thing I would say to you is that there are a lot of parents out there that would pay private pay.
Right. Right.
You got to find them.
Exactly. So that's the
Yeah.
next thing is, like, the networking piece. Like, I've got the site. I am kinda niching a little or niching, I don't niche, whatever.
I don't know.
I'm specializing a bit. So I've got, anxiety, which I know a lot of people, but I am trained in ACT, which is an awesome approach. I am trained in EMDR, so I've got trauma EMDR and I've got
Mhm.
addiction and recovery. And then I added a page for like men in recovery with unresolved trauma or unresolved issues because that is something that like I know I have done really well with like guys in that position and then they can like relate to me as also someone in recovery and I can talk about like my own experience with EMDR too,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, and like maybe I did this through recovery and I thought it was getting at everything, but it actually
Yeah.
wasn't, and like this really did get at it, but it's all together, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. You got to access everything. That's what I tell my folks is like, you got to be doing all the things. But you know what? The men in recovery, I would say most of them have unresolved trauma
yeah, there's a lot. There's a
because
lot.
in certain rooms, you can't even talk about your trauma piece. Now, the rooms that I went through, we talked about all the things, talked about the codependency, talked about the trauma, the childhood trauma, all the things. But in certain rooms, you there to talk about only the addiction that brought you in that room. That's it. And I struggle with that part because there's so many people dealing with a lot of different things in there and they might miss an opportunity to hear a piece of their story from somebody sharing openly. Um,
Absolutely.
but I'm grateful for the rooms that I went through in Seattle. It saved my life, all of them. You know, and I'm still in the rooms, and I'm stay in the rooms. It's just kind of a requirement to kind of do this thing because the work that we do is challenging. And I was doing this work before I got sober,
Mhm, mhm.
and that still shocks me you know?
That is pretty
Uh,
shocking.
yeah, you know, but grateful.
grateful that I was able to do it. But I think that particular niche, men and recovery, and I was like, with unresolved trauma, they need to see you. They need to find you, right? I think the teens, if you want to work with teens, their parents got to find you. I think it's absolutely possible for you to be full time private pay. Now, I don't know Maine's demographics. I don't know their financial situation up there. But are there pockets where maybe the income is greater?
Absolutely. And like, because also I'm licensed in Florida and like there are a lot more people in Florida, right? I mean, Maine is a rural state, right? Like Maine is
Mhm.
just over 1 million people in the entire state. I lived in Miami-Dade County, which was like 2.6 million in the county.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know Maine was that small.
Yeah. It's really that. So like Portland is like the city itself is probably like 70,000, and then the greater Portland area, is gonna go up, and so there are folks and, like, I sometimes will be like, sometimes my session is literally, like, a guy on an iPad, like, in his truck, like, somewhere parked outside or, like, at a job site or whatever, doing a break from whatever they're doing, and there are, clients who like, my private pay clients tend to also, like, not either have jobs or maybe they wouldn't have an insurance benefit,
Mhm.
but they are making enough to do private pay, and they also often don't want a diagnosis put down. Um, they don't want to worry about an insurance company in their business. I have
Right.
heard, and, like, I'm not an expert on this at all, you probably know a lot more about this than I do, but, like, I have heard there can be stuff around, like, life insurance. I don't know, with, like, mental health documentation. I don't know. I've just
Oh,
heard.
they ask they want DNA almost with them damn policies. They want everything. Absolutely. They will pull them records. Yep. Mine pulled up alcoholism, pulled up on the life insurance. Absolutely. And know what I could say? Sober.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think my therapist at the time wrote it down. Of course he did. Right. But yeah. Yeah. The life insurance, they do a deep dive. So, yeah, I
Yeah, so
understand.
there's a lot of people who, don't want that, and then I think the challenge with networking in Florida is I'm not there, whereas, like, in Maine, I actually, on Monday, had my first coffee get together with, someone who works at a treatment program here, and
Yes.
I had emailed, like, a bunch of different programs, and this one actually was an online form because I couldn't find an email, and I was like, "They're gonna think I'm trying to get into treatment," but no, I wrote what I was writing about, and it's funny, the only place that got back to me was that one that I did the online form, and this guy wrote
Yep.
to me and he said, "Our admissions team forwarded this to me. Let's get together." And he said they're always looking to connect with therapists who they know are gonna be good for when clients are stepping down from
Yep.
their program, and then this guy knows, like, everybody in Maine,
Yep.
like, all over Maine and he was like, "I'm gonna start connecting you with people." So,
Yes.
that would be
I love
amazing
it.
if that happens.
Yeah, I have treatment, connections, and a lot of times, they're trying to make that referral. They don't care, I mean, I think they do care that I if the provider takes insurance or not, but if they don't, they're still going to refer,
We talked about
I
that.
yeah.
He and I, like, I explained where I'm at with insurance, and really it was just a matter of him, like, what he would document in their system is that, like, cash pay. And he also was like, "Look, there are these other treatment programs that are totally cash pay, and, like, those are the ones that we really need to connect you to. But also sometimes we have clients who are cash pay, and those would be clients as well that, like, we would connect you to." And he really liked the whole, like, the match of, like, EMDR and, like, trauma and recovery. So that
Yes.
I hope I hope some things come out of that, obviously.
It absolutely will. It has for me over the years, for sure. And the thing that I tell my consultees is like, don't be sitting there waiting by the phone or by the email. Keep moving on to the next. So if this person wants to introduce you to everybody, go be introduced. But the thing is also, you can be introduced virtually too. So just because you're not in Florida doesn't mean you can't connect with Florida providers. I talk to people all over this country, um, and I ain't left this chair. you know, if there's an opportunity in town, I'll take it. I've invited people to my house. Um, but you can still access people. You got to get involved in the community. So we're part of the private pay community. Have you reached out to try to get coffee dates on the calendar?
In the private pay community?
Yeah.
No, no,
Okay.
no.
No, right. Well, I hope to see this happen within the next week or so.
I didn't even know that
Wh-
was a thing.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. The room was built. The Facebook group was built for connection. You know, um, on occasion people try to take advantage of it and use it as like a bulletin board. It's not that, right? It's really about building relationships. That's the platform I stand on. You got to connect. So what I would do, and I even do it to this day, I go on there, hey, I'm looking to connect with this type of provider for a virtual get together. My calendar's open for May. Who's available?
And then what are you like, this is the part where I get stuck, right? And it's just not, um look, I could go out in the street and I could go talk to, like, whoever is, like, out in the street right now, and I could probably connect
Hmm.
with them within 5 seconds, right?
Yeah, I
But
believe
to
you.
but to then connect with, like, I don't know, like, someone in an emergency room, or, like, I've thought about hospice or funeral homes or treatment programs, or, I don't know. I mean, I can write to, like, school social workers and counselors, like, that's not really like, I'm very comfortable in school settings. I used to work in school settings, but
Hmm.
it's like, I don't know what to even talk, like, if I met someone from private pay on the Facebook group, like, what would it just be sharing ideas? Like, what are we doing?
You're getting to know the other person. Yeah. Most times when I'm sitting with people, we barely talk about the practice. We talk about the practice the last 5 minutes where it's like, hey, I want to put you on my list. I pull up my little spreadsheet, make sure I got the name spelled right, website down, phone number. Are you taking clients? Yes, thank you. I would appreciate it if you add me to your list as well. They're like, absolutely, I got you. And we're good. But by the time that's happened, so 15, 20 minutes have passed. I know about they partner, kids, dog, where they went on vacation.
Yeah.
Because or just building a relationship. Because
Yep.
I want to be able to trust someone before I send them a referral.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, let's be real, there's a lot of bad therapy going on out there.
Well, yes, yes, we know about it, and hopefully we just shut it down when we see it, right? But when you show up, you just tell them who you are, right? Just like you would to the person that you say you could meet out on the street and get a connection with. So when the people drop a comment on your post and say, "Hey, I'm in Maine. Hey, I'm in Florida," like get connected with them, schedule it, and show up, whether that's in person or on virtual. And you just start chit chatting like you and I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're easy to talk to.
Thanks, appreciate that, you too.
Well, I
Funny how
appreciate
that
it.
works, right?
I listen. You are a podcaster, and thanks for calling me a podcaster. I have never called myself a podcaster, by the way.
You know, you're gonna laugh, but you're kind of an influencer too.
How in the hell is that possible?
How many members are in that Facebook group?
That's true. Almost 17,000.
That is crazy.
That is crazy.
That
And
is amazing.
in like 9.5 years, yeah,
It's
that's
amazing, and it
yeah.
probably hit a certain number and then just grew exponentially, right? Like,
Yeah, some
yeah,
days it's like 100 people trying to get in there. We can't even keep up sometimes, but I'm
that's
like, "Let's get these
amazing.
folks in there." Yeah, and, and I boot people out too.
Oh,
I'm
I've
known for
seen it.
that.
I no, and, like, I'm one of the people who appreciates that because sometimes there's some weird stuff going on, so
If I see it and I don't like it, you getting out of here. It's the space that I curate, right? And I protect it. The people in there are important people. Some of my closest friends are in that group. So like it's an important space to me. And then we have the Black private pay practitioners page with 500,
wow,
and then there's over 100 in the Patreon in the membership community. So,
amazing.
like, I got to protect these spaces, you know? And
Yeah.
so, anything that I can do to help, elevate you and your practice, you just let me know. And hopefully, this podcast episode will help, right? Because I want to see people win. And you're out here doing great work. I mean, social justice work. You've worked with teens. I mean, these are like areas that a lot of therapists won't even like touch.
Mm.
They just won't, for a variety of reasons, right? You, on your podcast, you talked about things that a lot of people ain't even heard of, wouldn't even talk about, right? The racial justice work that you have talked about. Like, I don't know any other therapist that's talking about it. Now,
Wow, that is
if I have
wild.
that wrong, please excuse me, my audience, but I don't hear it. Is that part of your therapy work too? Right? You know, um
Sometimes. So, like, yeah, can I just shout out, my friend and colleague, Charlotte Yearwood, who is a
yeah.
badass therapist, and we've done a lot of work together. We've got courses together with Doing the Work, and, she's the one who told me to get into your group, the Facebook
Oh,
group.
well, thank you.
So, gotta definitely shout her out, and she really brings, like, a based practice perspective to the work, um, and I've learned a lot from her. But, yeah, like, there's people doing it. I mean, there's, like, the Liberation Health model, like, the Boston Liberation Health folks,
Mm,
but, yeah, I mean, sometimes it comes up. What's actually pretty interesting to me is when clients, like my therapy clients,
mhm.
will share about something like political, or like sometimes explicitly political, sometimes an issue that's like we could categorize as political, but
Oh,
there's
yeah.
always debate of what's political. Um, and I can tell that they're not sure how I'm gonna respond. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, did you not Google me? Because like, if you Google me, you're gonna see like all this stuff. Like, I'm not hiding any of this. Like,
No, and I appreciate that.
I am out there. But like, I do have clients who, like, and I've written a little bit about this, where like I am gonna meet people where they're at,
Yeah,
to a certain extent. And like, some people aren't ready to get into that conversation, even though, like, looking at something like, for example, like toxic masculinity, right? Or male socialization
yeah,
is actually what they're really coming to therapy for. Is like, you know what? I
yeah,
get angry and I snap at my wife and I snap at my kids, but like they're not like ready to have that conversation. So what, sometimes I'll be more explicit about it, but other times I'm like, okay, what's more important here? Me being explicit about this and it feeling better for me, or me actually like continuing to be able to work with this person to help get them to act in the ways that they want to act, which in the end is still going to be pretty congruent with
yeah,
what we would do if we took the more direct approach. Cause it's really about like how they can work on those issues and treat the people around them better. And
sure.
maybe through that, we can eventually get to a place where we can really talk about it. Cause can it really be addressed without truly talking about it, like I'm
Yeah,
not sure. I would
I hear
probably
that.
say probably not.
Probably not. But one thing that you could do is you could be talking more explicitly about it on your blog,
Yeah. I do on the
right?
Doing the Work blog, and then on my therapy blog, I kinda cater it more to, like, EMDR and, like, recovery, and well, I only have 1 post on that one, but so I've kinda
Okay.
got these 2 different things going on, and, like, there
Hmm.
is overlap, but they also are kinda separate, and sometimes I'm like, "Was that a good decision to make it that way?" But at this point, I'm not redo it's too much work to try to redo it, and, like, I did get someone yesterday or the other day as, like, a consultation, so, like, not a therapy client, but it's like, I will often have, like, white practitioners wanna, like, work with me around their own, like, exploring anti-racism and racial justice.
Yes.
So I do consultation for that too, like, through Doing the Work and not through
Yeah.
Shimon Cohen therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. I think just keep talking and keep doing the work, right? You literally have the podcast in the CE platform called Doing the Work.
Yeah.
Yes, you just keep doing that, right? Because there are other people out there doing similar work. There, I just don't hear about it a lot. And a colleague of mine, hopefully she won't yell at me, but I did want to mention her name because I said I couldn't recall anybody. But do you know Ashley McGirt Adair out in Seattle? Now she's doing some good work. She just published this book, the cost of healing in silence.
Nice.
Just published, yeah, just went out. So like we have colleagues out here publishing, speaking. Now she's on a book tour right now, which is amazing for her. I love that for her. I don't know if I could do a book tour, but if somebody wants me to, they can call.
I mean, I think you should do one, then you can get up to Maine.
Well, that's great. Yes, now I know somebody in Maine.
Ashley
I can
McGirt,
stop by.
I'm connected with her on LinkedIn.
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just
small
yeah,
world. Yeah.
boom.
I love it. Yeah, I hadn't seen her in a long while, but I keep in touch. And when she said she was publishing a book, it was in the cart. This is what I'm talking
Amazing.
about. You support one another. I hadn't seen her in probably, I don't know, 10 years,
Mm.
right? But she said she's putting out a book. It's in the cart, you know? So this is how I build a community. And this is how I protect the community. And this is all I want to do. I want to make sure that I'm treating my clients and providing them the care that they need, and also uplifting the therapists who are already here and the ones that are yet to come. Because there's so many therapists in our group right now who are trying to do this hybrid kind of dance, and I get that part, but they're still suffering. And a lot of them are suffering in silence, right? Not healing in silence, they're suffering in silence. And I can't stand it, right?
Yeah, like, the whole one of the things we didn't even talk about and is, like, why are the payouts for Florida and Maine different with the same insurance? And actually, I think Maine is more expensive to live in than Florida, but the payouts are less.
Yeah, make it make sense.
I mean, it's,
Nobody,
like, crazy.
yeah. The thing is, they can't make it make sense, and they're not interested. I mean, the voices aren't loud enough, you know. And I know that you are on these platforms, and some other people on platform. People I work with who pay me are on the platforms. I'm coaching them, trying to get them off of the platforms. Right? Stay off the platforms because they're using you. It's the same dance. Because why?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they're owned by the insurance companies.
Yeah, it's a big scam,
Mm.
and, like, they're making a lot of money off of our labor and not
Yes.
compensating us, and then we end up undercutting each other, and that's another reason why I wanna get off of this,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and also the stuff about, AI, the AI note taking that is happening where it's really training AI to try to replace us. Like, that is what they're eventually trying to do, because if they don't have to pay a human, that
Right.
they'll get away with it if they can, I'm
Yeah.
talking that they being those who own all this stuff.
Right. So people talk about how do I audit proof my notes? Well, the answer from insurance is use AI, right? So you're training their AI, right? And then they just go, at some point, close it. What they're going to do is they're going to close the panels. They did this, I don't know, it may have been 10 years ago. Everybody's panel was closed.
Oh,
Because I remember I was trying to get on and it was closed and it was just like waiting. Like your livelihood depended on them opening up these damn panels. And then they try to pay you $80.
do you think it's harder to become private pay now than 10 years ago?
No, no. More people understand private pay now. I think I probably have something to do with that, which is fine. But when I had to stop taking insurance because I was losing money, I lost my group practice because I had to pay my employees, but I wasn't getting paid.
Mhm, mhm.
Right, I'm pulling out of savings, running up debt and stuff to make sure the employees get paid because the insurance say we got to delay or we got to recoup because something the client did. Well, I did my job,
Right.
right? But when I had to, I didn't know anybody private pay. No
Mm.
one. I really felt like I was just out there, like on the street, like trying to figure it out. That's how it felt, And that's why I was like, well, shit, maybe if I build this thing, people will show up. And I am grateful that they did.
Yeah.
So I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission to help the people because I think right now is the time. Right now is the time. If we stop funding these platforms, I think change can occur. I just think it can. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, and, like, I know for me, right, like, I'm not trying to have this huge caseload, especially at this point in my life with, like, just what I have going on in my life and
Yeah.
also this other work that I do. Um, I so I don't need, 30, 25, 30 clients a week, right? And, of course, when you get a higher rate, you don't need to see as many clients either, depending on and then you can give better attention to your
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah.
I'm not at the point yet, but, like, I am trying to work I am really making a more conscious effort towards this, and
Mhm.
at some point, not yet, but at some point, I am gonna need to tell my clients that I am making this transition, and that also kinda freaks me out just because, like, I know some of their financial situations, and
I know.
yeah,
But this is the thing, and I'll tell you this before we wrap up.
yeah.
I'm supporting someone right now, helping them kind of do a transition. And the thing that they have come to understand is that the moment that the platform finds out, either either you tell them or they hear it from the client or whatever, 30 days, they shut it down.
What do
That's
you
not a
mean?
trans there you can no longer see their clients. You get 30 days. That is not a transition period.
Seriously?
Yes.
I
So,
thought you just have to get them to sign a form saying they've consented to that they're not gonna use insurance.
you mean the insurance opt-out form?
Some sort of form, yeah, that
Yeah.
you would then have the client sign, and then you have to document it with the platform, and the client have in these platforms, and the client because these platforms will still process a cash pay like a private pay client,
Mhm.
using like Stripe or something. Um, but
Mm.
I am transitioning over to like I've been playing around with Care Patron.
Okay.
It's, it's another like EHR style platform because
Yeah.
then it's like totally separate. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
But they
I
yeah.
I don't know if it's there's several platforms right now, but the
Right,
one
right.
that the one that I am familiar with or coming to get familiar with because of my client, um, they told them 30 days.
Wow.
It's in the paperwork, 30 days. So it's like you got to be strategic as hell and then also have to let go of the fact that you only got 30 days to transition with your client, which is not enough. Right, because when I
No.
was leaving panels, I gave 45, 60-day notices, or sometimes even 90-day notices, depending on what the terms were of the contract. That's appropriate. 30 days is not anywhere near appropriate. But the thing is, they'll take those clients and pass them on to the next person,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. These systems are corrupt. And my thing is, I don't want no part of it. I really don't. I don't even like using my own damn insurance. I pay my therapist cash. I mean, she says she ain't in it. I'm like, good. Yeah, I'm just gonna pay the cash. Just pay the cash. But listen, Shimon, like keep doing what you're doing, please. Um, you know, do the transition however long you need to take. You know, make a plan. Don't do what I did, where I just said, "Hey, I'm leaving everything all at once." I wish I had not had done that, and I say that freely. But make a plan and have some money saved up. I tell my
Mhm.
folks 3 to 6 months saved up before you do it because you don't know. You don't know. I mean, right now, people are like, where are the referrals? Where are the referrals? Where are you? That's what I say. Where are you? Are you out there? Are you front and center? Are you being connected to people? You know, we got people out here like saying they're dropping psychology today. Listen, I am not a huge fan of that platform, but it is one of the largest, if not the largest, in terms of therapy directories. So I'm going to keep my face on it, you know, and I do get a lot of referrals from there. So it pays for itself, right? And I just got a speaking gig from it. I didn't know I could get a speaking gig from psychology today. So I'm definitely keeping it. So the places where people are going to find you, be there. That's what I'll say. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got this. I'm so glad to know you now. I've seen your name I think, as you entered the space, but I'm glad that we are connected now. You are welcome back on the show anytime. Please tell us where we can find you if you're on social media. Tell us a little bit before you go about the CE platform, and because we want to support.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So my therapy site is shimoncohentherapy.com and it's SHIMONCOHEN therapy.com. I know my name can be a little challenging sometimes for people to spell. I am on LinkedIn. That's probably the best, social media platform. And then doing the work is DOINTHEWORK. So no G, doing the work.com. And doing the work exists to educate, affirm, and stand beside justice based practitioners without sanitizing the truth or asking them to shrink.
Ooh,
Yeah, we just did a rebrand and I am all about that statement. I love that. Got a new logo where we've got 3 courses on there. We've got white supremacy and social work. We've got beyond competency, which is like about going beyond like surface level cultural competency and creating a truly affirming practice. And we've got a course on neurodivergent affirming practice.
well, all
And
right.
we're adding more all the time. Yeah,
This is perfect. It's needed. We need more. We need more.
absolutely.
So, yeah, keep showing up, talk in the Facebook groups. That's where you're going to find community. I mean, there might be a lot of therapists in Maine that are private pay. I have no idea. But you're there. So get to know the people. Okay. All right, everybody. I have been DJ Burr, and I am so grateful for Shimon coming on the show. Y'all make sure y'all come back next time and take care of yourselves, okay? And I will see you next week when we have a fabulous new guest. Have a good night. All right, folks, that's all for this week's episode of the Private Pay Practitioners Premium Podcast. Thank you for hanging out with me, and a huge thank you to my guests for showing up and keeping it real. If you're a private pay practitioner with something to say, I want to hear from you. Go to privatepaypractitioners.com/podcast guest and fill out the application. Whether you're just starting out or you've been building for years, if you're doing the work, there's a seat at this table for you. And if you're not yet a Patreon member, let me tell you what you're missing. Early access to every episode, monthly resource drops, tools, templates, and content